Welcome to Self-Care Prescriptions.
This is your invitation really to just take a break.
Tune in and tune up with practical tips on taking better care of your mind, body, and soul.
We're going to create a safe space here for you to really let it go.
This is your safe space to help you work on you, your mental health, and overall wellness.
Nothing average about that at all.
This is Self-Care Prescriptions with Dr. Robyn Gobin. Your weekly dose starts now.
Today we're coming to you with another episode of Self-Care Prescriptions, and today we're talking about what to do when you feel like you're unworthy of self-care. So, my first question to you, Dr. Robyn, is what does it mean to feel unworthy?
Yeah, so I looked up the definition for this, and I think it's really fitting for this particular term because when people deal with feeling unworthy, really how they see themselves is not deserving of effort, attention, or respect. And so that's really what it means when something is like not worthy or not valuable. And that's how a lot of people feel when it comes to self-care. They feel like they just don't deserve it. And so really what people struggle with is feeling like in some way they're lacking something or that they are missing some ingredient that would make them be worthy of people's time, people's love, people's attention. A lot of times people say they don't feel worthy of good things happening to them. If something positive happens, they feel like it's too good to be true or it's going to end really soon. And so they can't fully enjoy it. But that's rooted in this feeling of that they really don't deserve the good things that are happening to them. And so often when people struggle with unworthiness, you'll hear them say things like, I'm not enough. And what's not enough. So I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not educated enough. I'm not thin enough. And the list can just go on and on and on. And when this is an internalized belief that you have that's been chipping away at you, what can happen over time is that it really tears away at your confidence and your self-esteem so that you don't even feel worthy of your own time and attention, let alone someone outside of you. And so then it can pour into you feeling like you don't deserve to take care of yourself and implement self-care in your own life.
Wow, that's a lot of info there. So from me listening to that, I'm just asking now, like, where does the feeling of unworthy come from?
Yeah, so it can come from a lot of places and each person's situation is different. But for a lot of people, it's rooted in negative childhood experiences that they had. So for example, if they experienced some kind of trauma or abuse as a child, or if they were abandoned, rejected, or betrayed by their parents or a caregiver, some people kind of grew up with that message kind of turned in their head over and over again, told to them over and over again that they are no good, that they are lousy, that they are worthless. And so if you hear something over and over again, especially when your brain is so undeveloped as a child and you really do get your self-concept from the adults in your life, if all they were showing you both verbally and non-verbally is that you're not worthy of good things, then of course that is what's going to stick with you. And a lot of times it just follows you throughout various stages of development till we become adults and still are struggling with feeling like we're not worthy. For other people, if they didn't have childhood experiences, what I've seen oftentimes is that people feel unworthy because of mistakes that they've made in their past. So say they did something that they deem is unforgivable. And so what they end up doing is just depriving themselves of self-care as a method of self-imposed punishment.
So where do you start when you feel unworthy?
Yeah, so I think there are two mindset shifts that are really important when it comes to unworthiness being a barrier to self-care. So the first mindset shift I like to offer is that knowing that self-care is your birthright. It's not something that you have to earn. So it's available to you at any time. You don't have to pay a price for it. You don't have to be good enough to deserve self-care. So I think changing that mindset too, it's not something that you have to be worthy of. So then you can implement it. You can utilize self-care. And then I think another mindset shift, particularly when people are struggling with implementing self-care because they feel like they don't deserve it, they feel like it's selfish, I would suggest starting from a place of knowing that it's good for you and for the people in your life who you care about. So do it from that place of, I want to do what's right for the other people in my life. Maybe I have children, or I have pets, or I have a partner, and I want to be the best version of myself for them. That's a place. Again, this is a starting point, because again, at some point you want to get to a place where you're doing it out of love and respect for yourself, and you're seeing yourself as worthy of self-care. But if you're struggling with not feeling worthy, that can be a starting place. Well, this is an incentive to implement self-care, is that I will be giving out the best version of myself to the people in my life who I really care about. So focus on being better for them. And so I like the analogy with this is like when you invite someone over for dinner, right? Do you want to pull out some leftover spaghetti that you had like 2 weeks ago to feed these people that you had over your house? Or when you have someone come over your house, do you want to give them a fresh meal that just came out of the oven that's really appetizing? And so it's the same way with self-care. If we don't take care of ourselves, we end up giving people that stale leftover version of ourselves, just whatever energy is left over. But if we take care of ourselves, then when we go to pour out into other people, we can give them that nice appetizing meal, and they get the best version of us. And that's a more positive experience for them and also for us.
Wow, that's really amazing when you say that. I never thought of it from that standpoint, but it makes perfect sense to give people the best version of you that you can actually give. So now that you said all this, and a lot of food for thought here, how do you do self-care when you feel unworthy?
Yeah, so one thing I want to say with regard to the starting places, those mindset shifts that I offered, those are just, again, places to start. I don't want you to stop there. Again, you want to get to a point where you are engaging in self-care because you wholeheartedly believe that you deserve it. But again, if you need to look to the people in your life for motivation to help you to get started with self-care, then that's something that you can utilize. So how to do self-care when you feel unworthy? I think one of the places where you can start is by doing, I would challenge you, I was going to say once a week, but I would challenge people every day to just do one small thing that is beneficial to them. Remember, self-care is all about doing things that are going to make you happy, healthy, the best version of yourself, most effective in your life. So looking at your environment and seeing like, what is one thing that I can do every day that's just beneficial to me? I'm doing it not because I think someone else might like it, but I'm doing it because it has no benefit really to anyone else except for me. That's self-care. And so some examples of places where you can start, again, these are just starting points. Don't be limited by them, but you can make your favorite beverage that you like, or you can eat your favorite snack. You can watch a TV show that you enjoy, reading a book for pleasure. How about instead of the only time that you go out for a walk is when you have to walk your dog, how about just going out to walk yourself because you want to enjoy the nature and the beauty that surrounds you? Other examples are really taking the time after you get out the shower to really care, love on your body by lotioning it up really nicely. That's really great in these winter months when the cold weather really dries out the skin. Or similarly, using a new shower gel, a new bath gel, going to get a haircut, grabbing a face mask from Walmart or Target, taking yourself on a date, taking yourself to a movie and picking the movie that nobody else in your house would like to see but you. And so just really doing things that are going to pour back into you, but just challenging yourself once a day to do these things. And I want to caution too that just because you do this for like one day or 1 week, it's not necessarily gonna feel any different, and it's definitely maybe not going to help you feel any less unworthy. But the goal is for you to get in the habit of doing things that are for you, and so then you can kind of like up level your self-care and start to venture into the territory of doing those self-care activities that are more challenging to do, like saying no or setting boundaries in relationships. So that's what's really important that I really wanted to offer.
Gotcha. So you got to crawl before you walk and take some baby steps and do something every day. So I got it. Makes sense. I I got a list of things that I'm gonna try to do daily. So before we get out of here, is there anything else you want to leave us with?
Yeah, so I know that this topic of unworthiness is something that is huge for people even outside of the idea of self-care. And so I wanted to offer a few strategies that you might be able to try to just help you get to the bottom of the unworthiness, because really when it comes to unworthiness, it's something that usually is deep-rooted, deep-seated, and to overcome it, it really takes a lot of self-reflection, a lot of willingness to kind of ask yourself the tough questions and really get to the foundation of where did this start for me? Where did I start to make the assumption that I don't deserve good things? And so one place to start, if you are feeling unworthy and you really are wanting to get to a place where you start to feel worthy, is to think of when in your life have you felt worthy? Like, when have you felt like you belonged, like you deserved good things? Were you with someone in particular? Think about what were you thinking? What was being said to you? And also, what do you most need to hear someone else say when you're feeling unworthy? So like when you're feeling particularly down on yourself, do you have a friend or do you have a family member or a partner that you typically call? And what do they typically say to help you feel a little bit more worthy? And then the challenge is can you give yourself those things that you most need in those times when you're feeling unworthy? So if it's a hug, can you give yourself a hug? Or if it's some words of encouragement, can you give yourself that? And also, I think another place to get to a place of worthiness, a second place to start if you want to start uncovering this unworthiness and starting to get yourself closer to feeling worthy of love, affection, and positive things in life, is starting with imagining yourself as a child. This can be like a imagery exercise that you close your eyes with, or you can like get out the old books and like look at pictures of yourself when you were younger and really kind of look at that innocent child that's sitting there, this baby, and ask yourself, like, don't they deserve to be loved and cared for? Aren't they deserving of love, affection, attention? And just really start to notice what comes up for you when you're interacting with that picture or that image in your head. And that can really kind of get you to a place of thinking about, okay, what is it really that's getting in the way for me of feeling worthy? When did this start for me? And, you know, I'm a huge advocate for therapy. So these are only two starting places and very kind of scratching the surface of overcoming unworthiness. But what I know is that it's a process. It takes time. You have to be patient with yourself, but you also have to be willing to kind of go back and really dig underneath those feelings of unworthiness to see where they come from. And so a therapist can be a huge support system in helping you to kind of look at your look at your life in a different way and give you a different perspective on your unworthiness and where that came from and help you to recover. So definitely, last thing I'll say is that with unworthiness, you can't get it from outside of you. It has to come from inside of you. And so you have to believe it and you have to validate it for yourself. And so that's my wish for everyone listening who's struggling with unworthiness, is that you would even take the smallest step to get on the path of starting to view yourself as worthy of self-care, worthy of love, because it is your birthright.
Wow, you've given us a lot of information, very insightful. As always, we appreciate your expertise. And I know myself, I will actually be trying to apply some of these things. And it is our hope, wish, and prayer that our listeners are doing the same. So until next time, we appreciate you, Dr. Robyn.
Take care.
Thank you for taking better care of you and for listening to another episode of Self-Care Prescriptions. Stay connected and tuned up with Dr. Robyn Gobin. Visit RobynGobin.com or follow us on all platforms at Dr. Robyn Gobin. Stay healthy and stay balanced with Self-Care Prescriptions.